again for the accuser when they decide to sign this settlement. So I don't know what we were expecting of Pete Holmes. Was he supposed to wait until today to put out the information? Because then he'd just be accused of dragging his feet and not releasing this information the second that it went public. Because someone would say, we have the right to know. So I don't know what he was supposed to do. This is clearly not escaping media scrutiny. It was all over the news on Saturday when it happened, including on Saturday night. How many times have I talked about it so far in the show? 3 times?
Third time, I think.
You think Todd's not going to talk about it? You think other media outlets are not going to talk? They absolutely will be talking about it. So this didn't escape anything. This wasn't sneaky. This wasn't untoward. Do I think do I think Pete Holmes is grateful that this all happened on a Saturday? Yeah. Right? I mean, I don't think he would be happier. I don't think he thought, oh, damn it, why did this not happen on a Wednesday during a slow news week where this would be the lead on every single thing for hours and hours? Yeah, sure, certainly he's probably happy that it happened on Saturday, but he did nothing wrong here. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Believe TMZ.
Yeah, you see, when TMZ starts covering and coverage, that's generally not a good sign of your coverage. Like, I feel like that's not good for your brand, or you're getting mocked for your New Year's Eve coverage. I didn't watch any of it live. I watched some of the clips over the last couple days or so.
I watched a bit of it live.
It's like equal parts insufferable and embarrassing. And it's kind of always been that way. And I don't know how it's brand appropriate for CNN to just have all of their anchors get sloshed live on television and do the things that they did. Now, obviously, people are watching this year a little bit differently than they have in the past because they got rid of Kathy Griffin over the decapitated Donald Trump photo that she put out there. She was replaced with a guy who has the personality of a decapitated mannequin in Andy Cohen from Bravo. This guy, he has no personality whatsoever.
What are you talking about?
He's just nuts.
You can take issue with Andy Cohen. He has a personality.
How bad?
Okay.
He has a personality, right? Not a personality that's good enough for any sort of TV coverage outside of negotiating a peace between the Real Housewives of Atlanta, bitching and moaning towards the Real Housewives of Orange County. Okay, he's just not very good. And I saw a lot of the same sort of criticisms of his relationship with Anderson Cooper. Apparently, they're really good friends, like in real life, but they had no chemistry together.
Well, that criticism again was a little bit strange to me. It was strange and it wasn't entertaining to watch. I don't know if it $1,000 richer. Now I think I'm kind of surprised this didn't happen more often before, but now I feel like this is going to happen all the time. People, proposals getting on TV that way.
Aren't you surprised it hasn't happened at all yet?
It's warming up into the 40s the farther north you are, because Whatcom County still needs some help getting rid of all that ice from Friday. So we're getting there. It's getting a little better for those spots.
37 right now at the Carter Super Studio. That takes us to 8:14, which is time for traffic, brought to you by Online Trading Academy.
And again, we are much lighter than you might anticipate for the first day back after the holiday break. We do have one problem on the board, finally. We do have an accident to talk about. It's down in the Puyallup area. If you're wondering why you're all stop on eastbound 512 trying to get down the hill from South Hill all the way into Puyallup, looks like we've got a crash that's not blocking right now, but it's on both the left and right shoulder right as you get to the Puyallup River. Got about a 2.5 mile backup behind it. But that's really the only blip on our radar today, because once you get on 167, you're flying all the way into Renton with no real hesitation at all. Looking at the Renton to Bellevue Drive, pretty normal conditions there, but still faster than a typical day. 38 minutes on the real-time drive there. No real issues on in Tacoma or Federal Way. You hit the brakes at the north end of Boeing Field getting into downtown, but still 45 minutes from Federal Way to Seattle. Out of the north end, 40 to 45 minutes from Everett to Seattle or Everett to Bellevue is great. The lake bridges are performing well as well. This report brought to you by Online Trading Academy. Attend a free power trading workshop. Text traffic 57682. Register for ongoing Bellevue workshops and a Tumwater workshop next Wednesday at 1 and 5:30.
8:15, Seattle's Morning News. Every Tuesday, we consult with David Farenthold of the Washington Post, and today is our first consult of 2018. And we go back to an issue that is left over from 2017. But first, we want to get David to remind us of the argument over the emoluments clause of the Constitution.
Basically, the Founding Fathers wrote a clause into the Constitution that was supposed to stop U.S. ambassadors from being bribed by foreign princes. So it says
And chemical-free. The Ionized Water Act.
From a foreign state or foreign prince. So basically, you can't take money from some foreign government, because they were afraid that our officials would be effectively influenced by that money into favoring the foreign government and not their own government.
Right, and the way this is supposedly applied to President Trump was, since he runs an international business, that foreign governments might try to ingratiate themselves with him by booking rooms at his hotels or buying overpriced Trump steaks. So somebody sued over this. What organization decided to file a lawsuit over this?
It's a group called CREW, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. They're a long-time sort of good government group in Washington that's lately been more aligned with Democrats and with Republicans.
And there has been a ruling on this now, and the court basically threw the case out.
Yeah, this happened before Christmas. The key thing here is the question of standing. You know, before they can even answer the question of whether President Trump has violated the emoluments clause by selling hotel rooms to the Saudi government or renting out a ballroom to the Kuwaitis or whatever, they need to understand if the person bringing the suit even has standing to sue. Have they been injured by President Trump's actions in some way that's particular and bad and gets them into court? And in this case, the judge, this is a federal judge in New York, said no, the CREW did not have standing to sue. That the judge said, look, this is a matter for Congress. If Congress thinks the president is violating the emoluments clause, Congress is where the remedy ought to be found, and that there was nothing about this good government group's injury from President Trump. Or they also had some other plaintiffs who were like other hotels and restaurant owners. They hadn't been injured in any way bad enough for them to even bring a suit.
So when they dismissed it, did they dismiss it saying that there is no case to be brought here, or simply that somebody else has to file this lawsuit?
The second. There was this didn't get to what they call the merits of the case. They didn't get far enough to say, here's what we believe an emolument means in 21st century terms. Here's what they believe President Trump is violating that emoluments clause. They didn't get there. That's a matter for another day. This was just, do these people have the right to even step into court and ask those questions?
So then, does this mean, then it sounds like this becomes a political question if we're saying Congress would have to bring such a suit. Is there any indication that if, for example, the Democrats' dream comes true and they take back Congress in 2018, that they would then move forward with something like this?
I think there's a strong indication. In fact, there are a couple of other lawsuits out there that look a little shakier as a result of this. One of them is filed by the Attorney Generals in D.C. and Maryland, and one is filed by a bunch of Democratic members of Congress. So certainly if the Democrats take back the House or the Senate, they will use their power to investigate this question, try to figure out out how much money exactly the Trump organization is taking from foreign governments. Are they paying market rates, or are they paying $1 million for a hotel room? That's certainly an issue they'll pursue. I don't know whether this ends with, an article of impeachment or some sort of other congressional action, but certainly if Democrats had the power to investigate this, they would, and maybe they will.
Well, that's the ultimate question. Are the Democrats, in fact, angry for impeachment? And what is your sense? Is that what the 2018 election is going to be about? Do we impeach the president?
Well, I think the Democrats certainly are, in Congress, certainly seem to be readying themselves to conduct impeachment hearings. There was a big fight recently over John Conyers, the congressman who left special harassment, was in charge of the committee. He was the ranking Democrat on the committee that would lead impeachment proceedings if there were any. He left, and there was a big fight over who would succeed him because people in Congress knew that might be where impeachment started. The question to me is, are they going to run on it? I don't think they're going to run on it. They need to appeal to a lot of people who might have voted for Trump in 2016, and who might ask, with reason, well, impeach him for what? What's the crime he's committed?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I suppose the biggest issue would be if Robert Mueller came back with some sort of indictment against him. But if the indictment, it looks like the indictment's going to be aimed at people who were under him during the transition. There doesn't seem to be much evidence that I've seen. Of course, here at the Washington Post, you know better than I do, that there's ongoing collusion with the Russians in some way. So do you see any issue that actually rises to impeachment level here?
At this point, no. But I think we see, the Mueller investigation is still going. And, remember, President Clinton was impeached for making false statements. And so we haven't gotten to the point where Mueller interviews the president. I think that point is coming. If the president makes a false statement under oath, that's something that could be impeachable. There could be something that comes out about Russia. We don't really know what the Russian piece of that will look like. The Democrats may also try to impeach the president for other things, for emoluments clause violations, for some generalized corruption. It's hard to know what kind of case they make, but I think that's why it's a hard case to make to voters now. Let's impeach the president. I think you have to be really specific about what that thing is. It's a serious and very disruptive step. If you don't have your ducks in a row, what are you going to tell voters you'll impeach him on?
Right, and if it's just something like the Democrats argued that was a pretty lame reason for impeachment back in, 1996?
98, that's right.
98, okay. They'd sound silly if they said, suddenly we think that's okay. One more thing, though, tax reform. It's now law. What's the president's next big push going to be this year?
That's a great question. In the next few weeks, it's just going to be sort of a scramble to keep the lights on. There's going to be questions about DACA and border wall and the funding bill. Are they going to have to keep the government open and funded? In the bigger sense, to the degree that anyone has an appetite for something big and ambitious in this election year, there's two sort of warring camps on this. Trump wants to talk about infrastructure, having just slashed the source of local government's funding. He wants to talk about having local governments start infrastructure projects. I think a lot of people in the House, having passed tax reform and created this potential for a huge budget deficit, you want to talk about cutting Medicare, Medicaid, entitlement spending, welfare, all these things that contribute, they're on the spending side of the ledger. I think that would be pretty unwise for Republicans to tamper with that in an election year. And President Trump ran explicitly on not touching Medicare and Social Security. But, those two possibilities exist. Neither one of them seems very likely to become law anytime soon.
David Farenthal, who has been decorated with the Pulitzer Prize from the Washington Post, every Tuesday on Seattle's Morning News. 8:23, and that's time for traffic brought to you by Emerald Queen Casino. Here's Chris Sullivan.
And on a day when there is a 20-minute faster trip for most of us, it's going to take something kind of unusual to make the radar. And we do have one little crash, and that's a eastbound 512 trying to get into the Puyallup area. Again, we've got about a 2.5-mile backup behind it. It's from before South Hill all the way down the hill towards the Puyallup River. It isn't blocking. It's on both the right and left shoulders, though, so that's why we're causing the problem there. But again, the rest of the map is looking great. You're not hitting the brakes at all anywhere else on the Valley Freeway trying to go from Puyallup up into Renton. Renton to Bellevue was easing off as well, back down to 34 minutes to make that real
social space, it does feel like you're being at least mentally abused. But to be fair to Chris Matthews, when they say that they feel like battered wives, there's no allegations of physical assault. There's no allegations of sexual misconduct that is physical in nature, correct?
That's true. It's all verbal. But I will say that in terms of the way people describe what happened to him and the mental state that it left them in, it's very similar in terms of almost being traumatized by this.
And I believe me, I totally empathize with people who are put in positions like that, because I was put in a position like that for a very long time. And it's just, once I left that environment, it felt like a huge amount of weight lifted from my shoulders. Does it seem like Chris Matthews is getting a pass on this? Because it doesn't seem like neither this story nor the payout story, which the Daily Caller was instrumental in getting out there, seem to get any traction in the media.
It's true. This one has been met with even more silence than the payment because, of course, MSNBC actually confirmed that the payment was made to us, so you really couldn't deny it. In this case, there's been a lot of people questioning my sourcing and, questioning just the fact that it comes from a conservative news outlet. I guess I understand that. If I were looking at a similar report from a left-leaning outlet, maybe I would be less inclined to believe it. But my story is incredibly well sourced. I have 5 people who spoke to me independently and all confirmed different incidents and painted a very consistent picture of what it's like to work with and around Chris Matthews. But you're right. I mean, it does feel like he's getting a bit of a pass to the behavior. At the very least, you would think that MSNBC should have to address these allegations and say whether or not this is consistent with what they've seen. I think they should answer whether or not other complaints have ever been made about Chris since 1999, because if it's true that this behavior continues, it's really hard to believe that there wouldn't have been other complaints made. And if there weren't, they have to question, is the HR department doing its job there? Do people who are working for Chris feel like they can go to their HR representatives and have their voice heard, or do they feel like they're being made into the problem instead of the victim?
It's a sad story. It's a sad reflection of our media, because if you did this exact same report, you had Chris Matthews' name there, you had Bill O'Reilly, this would be a leading story on CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, all of these other ones. But because you're talking about someone who is the ideological sweetheart of MSNBC and Chris Matthews, it kind of gets no treatment whatsoever, which is why I'm so happy I was able to chat with you this morning. I've been talking with Amber Assey. She is a reporter over at the Daily Caller. If you want more information on this, go to dailycaller.com. Amber, as always, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. You are listening to The Jason Rantz Show. If you want to join the conversation, send me a tweet, twitter.com/Jason Rantz. We're back at the bottom of the hour.
Shinier, and then over time it repairs itself and the new hair growing in stays healthy, so I don't get a bunch of flyaways and split ends. Plus, when I give someone a hug, they often say, your hair smells good. So if you want people sniffing your hair, go to Ovation